Welcome back to another Thursday. That means it's time for a gear talk, ladies and gents. Alright, so the poll went out again, because now every other review I'm pretty much going to be covering character discussions, and it went up, and the last time we had it, it was Tak, which I always thought was Talk for some reason. We had Tak, we had Hana, and we had the Wakatu. The Wakatu won because everyone wants the giant death bird. Understandable. Well, I'm only going by 3 and not 4 because there's 3 Hivebusters. I figured, keep the 3 going. So I went Tak, Hana, and I picked one, and I was like, you know what? We don't have that much info compared to the others on Lahni. So let's put Lahni in there. Yeah, apparently Lahni wins. So everyone wants Lahni. So yeah, we're going to talk about Lahni. We're going to go over Lahni. We're going to talk about her past. We're going to talk about her early life. Yes, we are going to mention Tai. Don't worry, we will. We're going to talk about the Brash Brigade, Hivebusters in general, and what's going on right now with her. So yes, we're going to talk about Lahni. Everyone wanted Lahni. I know. Even the comments before I even put the poll out was like, Lahni. And yes, we're doing Lahni right now. I think it's because of Tai. I think it's honestly because of Tai is why Lahni is so popular. Don't get me wrong. She's badass. I like Lahni. I'm not saying this because I don't like her. I like Lahni. But I think it's just because of Tai, honestly. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get into talking a bit about Lahni here. We'll start at the beginning and work our way through. Okay, let's start off with the very beginning. We're going to start off when she was pretty much born, because that's already a talking point. So, when she was born, when Lahni Kaliso, that is the last name, was born, she was born on the mainland. She is a South Islander at heart. She is not actually from the South Islands when she was born. She was born on the mainland. It's only like 2 generations back was when they were on Walehi. So, Walehi, her grandmother left with her children, her parents, with her parent. They left. They went to the mainland. Her parents had her. Or maybe they were already pregnant with her when they left. All I know is that the grandmother was also on the mainland. And she was born, at least on the mainland, and she was taught the island ways. She was pretty much she is a South Islander. For all intents purposes, she is. Heritage-wise, she could have been born on the mainland. It doesn't matter. So she was born, and from a young age, she was taught combat. She was taught everything, because during her birth, guess what was going on? Well, okay, let me rephrase that. I think she was probably born a little bit before E-Day. But when she was born, while her childhood was going on, E-Day happened, the Locusts were everywhere. She was taught combat, she was taught everything she could from her people. Because the South Islanders are a very tough bunch. The island they come from is a very deadly place. She was taught combat very young, and growing up she learned all of this. Probably, I want to believe, the same type of combat that Tai was taught. I want to say so, even though Tai went to a different island when he left Walehi. But I'm going to assume, at least, somewhat of the same stuff, since their original ancestry is Walehi. And if you go further back, then you go to... There was a lot of island jumping. We'll leave it at that. Skip forward during all of this, you get to after the sinking of Jacinto. From here, I'm only going off of wiki information, not personal information. I have not found anything else from here. This is all just the information I've gathered. This is from the wiki. This is from other sources. I have not gone through. I don't believe the newest book has been released yet, which would give more information on this. But the Brash Brigade, we're going to talk about that quick. The Brash Brigade was formed, by what I read, after the sinking of Jacinto. At that point, some of the Locusts decided to come topside to live. They were like, screw it, we don't care if the war's won or not. Everything's being flooded, we need to actually leave to the surface. So they did that. The Brash Brigade was originally formed to go out and kill those pockets of Locusts on the surface and eradicate them from the surface. That's what it was made to do. Now, I do not believe Lahni had joined the group yet at this point. I believe after everything was finished, they disbanded the Brash Brigade because the war was over. But after the war had finished, Adam's machine, which I'll talk about this in another video. I'll bring it up right now. I made a theory that all the Locusts weren't killed. They probably hid somewhere underground. I was right on that. Big gloats for me from a theory before 5 or any of this came out. I'm a champion of theories. I know I'm amazing. Anyway, all of them were not killed. So the Brash Brigade was created once again. And this, I believe, is where Lahni comes in. She joined the group when she was 19. At this point, 99% of humanity is dead. She's joined to eradicate the rest of the Locusts, so humanity has a chance to repopulate and stay without going into extinction. So she joins, and their job is to now go through, again, and eradicate the Locusts. But now they're playing guard duty for while the bodies are buried, while everything's going on. If they find pockets, they're sent out to do it, to kill them pretty much. And by the sound of it, Lahni kills a lot of Locusts. I was about to say swarm, but no, there's still Locusts at this point. She is going through, I need to adjust because this is still a broken couch. She goes through and is annihilating them by the sound of it, left and right. She is trained to kill the Locusts, and she is trained to destroy them as quickly and efficiently as possible. One of the only characters in the current story, I mind you, that had formal training on killing the Locusts. Keegan, he was trained to kill Locusts too, but he was mostly trained like military, because he was a quartermaster and everything. He was already fighting a human enemy and trained in that. You have Marcus and all them, originally human enemies. Lahni out the gate was taught straight up to kill the Locusts. You have other characters like Jace and everyone, but we haven't seen Jace again yet. So I can't really just throw him into here because we don't know what Jace has been doing. He's been acting, but we don't know if he's fighting again. But Lahni was specifically trained to fight Locusts, period. Your training is to kill the Locusts. Not enemy, like human enemies. No, you were specifically trained for this enemy. And she did a hell of a good job. She moved up the ranks really quickly. The family she formed in that, like they were a very tight-knit family. They were out. I'm guessing it was just a menage of just a bunch of different people. Probably like veterans of the Locust War. You probably had a bunch of up-and-comers like Lahni. You probably had a lot of people who, and again, there's pockets of them. They know they can kill them. Probably like, I want to guess like, I don't know, like I could have seen Matheson joining it. Like, you know, he's missing his legs, but what's stopping him from getting in a wheelchair, coming with a souped-up one, shooting him down? Probably pilots or someone that wanted to get out of that and like participate on the ground forces. I want to believe it was stuff like that for the Brash Brigade. They were still a COG-sanctioned unit, but I want to believe they went out and it was just a hodgepodge of people. You had 19-year-old Lahni in there, for Pete's sake, just wrecking house. She moves up the ranks very high. She becomes a lieutenant, which I'm not the brightest with my rankings, but I know lieutenant's pretty up there. It's a good rank. I believe it's one of the officer ranks. So she makes it all the way up there, and again, a lot of information I did my best to search for. I don't have the details. She did something involving a high danger operation to save her crew, her squad, not crew, well, I guess crew too, her squad, the Brash Brigade. In doing so, there was a risky situation that involved saving them, led to her commanding officer's death. Now, at this point, remember, humanity, there's not a lot. She's a lieutenant and she's got a commanding officer. Someone just got killed. That's that high ranking. The COG's probably not looking too well at that. Look at what happened to Marcus for straight up just abandoning his post to go and save his father during the Locust War. And look at what, originally he was supposed to get death. If you look at this, she didn't abandon, but she openly made the choice of saving her crew. I want to believe knowing that this person, this commanding officer, would die. She gets, I don't know how long in prison, but she's in there for 4 years, I believe, before she gets out. I don't know. It must have been something going on. I think probably during the outsider situation. That was probably when it happened. Yeah, that would make sense. The outsider situation, that was pretty much the war of the new COG and the outsiders. She probably did something hairy that led to her commanding officer dying. And that was what the COG... And the new COG is pretty harsh, as we've seen. The new COG at this point is like, hey, no. I believe she probably got life. Knowing Jin, that's probably what happened. And once she got life, she was just there, taken away. I don't know if she was stripped. She was probably stripped of her rank too. But she was thrown in. And this is where we get the beginning of the Hivebusters situation. This is the end of the Brash Brigade for her. for now. You'll know what I mean soon, but this is the end of that current situation. Brash Brigade, and we lead into the Hivebuster situation. Enter in Donald Matheson. I just mentioned him a bit ago. Donald Matheson. We'll give a brief heads up on who he is so you know what's going on. Good old Donald was a minor role, not a big role, a minor role in the books, and you see him in the comics. He lost both of his legs, so he ended up doing comms while he was on Vectis and helping out Delta. That's the person who actually took over for Anya. So he was the one handling all of that. Baird was actually looking in to give him robotic legs. Long story, not going into it. Anyway, he is one of the only people that Hoffman still has trust in, because Hoffman pitched the Hivebuster initiative. Jin shot it down immediately and said, we're not doing that. So, Hoffman had to find people he trusted. Donald Matheson, he trusted an original cog, a man who stuck by him during everything. He said, I need you to do me a favor and do some scouting. Again, remember at this point, none of this is cog sanctioned. But he's got these few people he trusts. He's pulling as many strings as he has left. And he says, I need you to find me people who are willing to go through and for the Hivebuster initiative, go through suicide mission, and they're willing to risk it all for either some reward or nothing. So he goes through and he starts looking up names, looking up people, and out of the three, he also, Mac, Keegan, he also gets Lahni. He looks at her dossier, he looks at everything, he looks at the information, he sees this masterful person, a part of the Brash Brigade, been going through, wiping out Locusts. She's been going through and wiping out pretty much anything with the Brash Brigade. She is a very high ranking, and she's in prison right now because of a a weird situation. We don't have the info for her commanding officer. Hoffman decides, yes, we're going with this. We're going to need someone like that. And her skill set, it's very weird because you very much get in the DLC why people were chosen. Mac was chosen because he's good with technology and he understands the inner workings of things from being an outsider and working on the trucks. Keegan, because he has the codes for everything. You pretty much get that Mac... Lahni was Lahni was pretty much chosen for some reason because she was short, I guess. She was a very heavy mastered combat, like a master of hand-to-hand combat even, but she was short. She's able to get in short areas. I guess that was the big selling point for Hoffman. Anyway, so Hoffman recruits all of them. He recruits her, making her the deal. I will get you out of prison, and I want you to become a part of this COG sanction mission to drop this new experimental weapon into the Hive, and once you do that, I can promise you, guess what? You now get to join the Brash Brigade once again. Don't worry, I pulled my strings, you will be a part of them, you just need to do this one mission, you're good to go. Hoffman's expecting this to be a suicide mission. He kind of lets them know, saying it without saying it, and I think they don't realize it until they're doing it, or at least till Mac brings it up. So yeah, she goes along with it, because she'll do anything to be with the Brash Brigade again. So, they go through, and you end up going through the South Islands is where they're going. She meets Hoffman. Yo, this is Colonel Hoffman. This is a big deal. And they go through the islands, and you get a lot of it on both islands, but mostly Walehi. You get it on her culture, her background, what it means to be a South Islander. You understand she wasn't born there, but these are her people. This is her land on where she believes is home. Her heart belongs to the islands. And she can read some of the language because her grandmother taught her, but she reads it well enough she can understand, but she's not perfect at it. You understand when it comes to the Wakatu and the stories. She knows the stories of the Wakatu. She understands what the ritual is, the rite. She knows all of this. Again, at this point, they all think it's a myth. All the islanders, even the grandmother to Layla, I don't know why I was going with that name, Lahni, you understand, like, this is her life. The DLC I really loved because, again, with the comic, with the story, with her character in general, you don't have that much. But with the comic, it takes place in the South Islands. Lahni is a South Islander. This is her thing. And it's great to see her, like, interact with everything, understand things. it's great to see that because you don't really get that sense of it from the comics. You don't get it from the other readings and information and background info that the Coalition let out. But you really get it in the DLC, and it's really, really good. She understands how, they're going to be going into this like sacred rite kind of, and she's treating it as that. This is the rite. We're going to go face the Wakatu. This is something I understand is what my people do. I am going to treat it as such. And the other Hivebusters, Mac and Lahni, understand that about her. So they're not like sitting there like, no, we're going to kill the bird. It doesn't matter. No, they understand that. They're going in, pretty much the three of them as brothers and sisters, as a family. Like, if she's going in like this, we're going in like this. And I greatly appreciate they went with that direction. It was a very, very well taken direction. So they go through, they've gone through the islands, they're trying to take down the hive, they're doing all of this stuff. They finally get to the end of it all, and I'm going to skip over the DLC a lot. I've talked about it before. The Wakatu's got a lot to do with it. I talked about it in his video. The others it's going to get mentioned in. I might do a video of just the DLC itself. But for now, we're just going to just get around the important bits. They take on the Wakatu, and again, they fight it, and they win. They win something that, by the legend, isn't something that's just done often. You win against this thing. People die. A lot of things die to it. They won. So they take it down, and they decide we're not going to kill the Wakatu. It's living. If we are to leave it as it is, it will heal, but we are going to take a feather to mark that we have won, we have bested, we have done the right. We're going to get its venom. No one has to die today. This isn't a situation like fighting the Swarm where someone's got to die. No. We have won. The Wakatu's okay. We're leaving. We do not need death right now, which is a very respectable thing. So, that ends everything we have from the games. We now jump on over to the comics. So, we get to the comics, and it picks up right where the DLC leaves off. They go into the hive. And there will be spoilers from the 5th chapter. I know next week is the Chapter 5 review. I need to talk about Lahni's character because it continues off from the comics. I have read it now. I'm going to make the review after. Don't worry, but we're spoilers here. So, they go through and defeat the hive that they were planning for. The DLC leads up to. They do it. She's promised she can go back to the Brash Brigade. But they need to find 2 more people to go with Mac to the next hive. They decide, you know what? Me and Keegan, we can join you for one more, Mac. Let's go do it. Let's go have some fun and bust a hive together. So it's really nice in the comics because all 3 of them take this road trip pretty much to get to the hive. And you do get like a sense of her character. Again, this was before the DLC. So you get some of it, but this isn't the whole thing. So you go through and you understand that like she's like the mother of the group kind of, you could say, or like the median or like the understanding one. Because when Mac's having all these issues, remembering his family and everything, she's the one that's like, Mac, it's okay. We're here for you. Do you want to talk? It's okay. It's all fine. Keegan is like that too, but though Mac and Keegan butt heads, so they're more of like a buddy-buddy situation. Lahni is buddies too, but she cares a lot more, you can tell. It's nice to see this road trip. She gives her story of the Brash Brigade at this point once they start making it to the town. And she explains, like, yeah, that was my crew. We were closer than family. And Keegan understands this. Because, again, Keegan, he's like, yeah, I was an Onyx Guard. That's how we were. Like, I understand what it's like. When you go through death, you become family with those people. It also, behind the scenes alludes to the Hivebusters. They're like family at this point. So, they talk for a while, and they finally make it to the hive. And this is where, again, Mac is having all these situations, the dreams, the flashbacks, and she's like, hey, it's okay. Everything's fine. It's all right. So, and again, Mac's not hearing any of it because he wants to kill everything at this point. So, they finally go through, and again, Chapter 5 spoilers now, so I've given you a heads up. They go through, and at this point, they're fighting through, they're going through everything. They come across the Warden. And again, Chapter 5 spoilers, leave now if you want. The Warden wrecks all 3 of their collective shits. Mac, I believe, gets a broken leg. Keegan, I think, gets some internal chest bleeding, if I remember right. Again, I have to go back and read it for the review, but that's what I remember from the first read-through. And Lahni gets away with just getting almost choked out. Again, she kind of gets away with the easy stick out of all that. But, yeah, she's getting choked out. Mac saves her, and they actually make it out of the hive. They drive out. They're safe. And that's where you get the final situation in the comics of what happens to them. They're like on little quote unquote break. They're on leave, you could say. You see Lahni wearing a nice sundress. She's on the beach. They're on the South Island still. Mac has kind of put a little like memento memorial for his son. They're on the side. They're heading out. Again, they're all pretty much on break. They're on leave, which I don't know why when humanity is on the brink of extinction and you're being attacked, but they're on leave, okay. And that's the last we get of her. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, really. I'm happy she's alive. She's doing well. She's going to be back. But it's also like, you kind of left on like, we're on break. See you whenever. And that's the furthest we have in the actual story. I think of just, it might be of all of Gears of War just for the Hivebusters. It might be for all of Gears. They're just on break. That's it. So, yeah, she's having a nice time out there. That's great to see. World's on fire, but she's fine. Anyway, let's shift on over and talk about the last part of it. Some trivia and stuff. Her family, yeah, we'll talk about Ty now, don't worry. And just everything else that we have. All right, so let's have a little bit of trivia fun here. I don't remember how many of the characters I've done in the past I've done this for. I think I've done a few. But yeah, we'll bring it back with Lahni. Why not? So, little fun fact. Lahni is the highest ranked member of the Hivebusters. Of any of them right now, Hana and Tak included. Hoffman, not really. I guess he's retired. You can consider her higher, but her rank was thrown out the window with prison, so I don't really know where you want to put that. Anyway, she is the highest ranked of the 3 active members. The funniest thing is, she's the second in command. Because Keegan, for 2 reasons, he's in charge. One, pretty much with the Hivebuster initiative, they kind of like saw who would do better in charge, kind of, or who, you know, had the better experience, and it was Keegan. Keegan was kind of like the automatic, like, I'm kind of like a leader, so I'll take lead. And the others were like, we don't really care, or yeah, go ahead. The second reason, he's an Onyx Guard. He's a part of the Onyx Guard. He technically still is, I think. Or he was in retirement. He was in retirement, but now he's back. He's a Hivebuster. Anyway, Onyx Guard pretty much just outranks everybody. Doesn't matter rank for the normal cog. Even Hoffman could go up to him and be like, no, you're doing what I want right now. To like even a rookie. And the rookie could be like, no, I'm not. Like, you have no jurisdiction over me. Like, it's kind of like One Piece. You have the Marines, and then you have the head of the Marines, and the world government. Then you have the Cypher Pole, and the Cypher Pole just goes straight to the world government. They don't go through, like, the head of the Marines. It's kind of like that. They just go right to the head of the cog. Like, Prescott has last say what the Onyx Guard do. That's pretty much how it goes. So, she's the second in command, and she treats it pretty well. Again, compared to a lot of them, she's pretty much like, you know, the most combat experienced, I want to say, because Keegan was on Azura while Mac was an outsider. Then you also have the fact that, like, she's a master of, like, hand-to-hand combat with the electro knife. It's fun to also mention, too, when it comes to her, and yeah, we'll talk about Ty now, too. Like I said earlier, she probably has the same combat training as Ty. I want to assume, though, that they're different. It's very clear that Ty was like at the peak of like his physical ability the entire time he was a soldier, he was on his island, everything. Lahni, it seems like, especially in prison, she was probably like not like at peak the whole time. 4 years in prison kind of like makes you a bit rusty, unless she's fighting people with a shank like it's a knife in there too. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, well, let's jump into Ty. Let's jump into Ty quick. Make everyone happy. I know, Ty, you're finally getting at the end of the video. Here we go. Yes, she is the not distantly. She's closely related to Ty, but in the fact that like he's a cousin from like the upper generation. So probably like he's the cousin of one of her parents. That makes him like a cousin to her, but not on the same level. It's not like they had the same, because she was like born during like the E-Day stuff was beginning. He was already fighting in the Pendulum Wars. So there's an age gap already. He is definitely her senior. He's from the other generation above her. They're cousins through the sense of like cousins of the father's cousin. So that makes you the cousin too. She has high respect for Ty. Everyone on the island of Walehi has high respect for Ty. She knows him as like the ultimate like warrior from the South Islands. That's how everyone sees it. She holds up the memory well. She's very, very well for holding up that memory. But in my opinion, I think people will agree. Some will hate me, but my opinion, yes, Ty is still, if you put him in a one-on-one fight, Ty's going to win every time. Ty is one of the deadliest people out there. Marcus versus Ty would be a fight to see, because Marcus could tell where Ty was when he was using a bow and arrow to take Marcus out and kill him. Marcus could tell where he was while he was walking away, and he saw him. He knew where he was behind him. That would be a fight to see. Ty is like on Marcus level. That's the level we're talking about here. I'm sorry, Lahni's not on that level. But still, she holds up the memory well. Another Kaliso is fighting, well, not with the cog, but fighting against the enemy. So that's nice to see. All right, ending it off, we'll talk about the future she's got. I think she's going to stick with the Hivebusters. I don't see her death anytime soon. She's very well trained in combat. The comic leaves off with she's fully 100% healthy. Nothing's wrong with her. She'll continue the fight. Mac and Keegan got pretty beat up. I think they'll be okay by the time we continue with the story. But yeah, I think she'll be fine. I think Lahni's got a good future. Will she make it through the Swarm War? I don't know. Just like original Call of Duty, not Call of Duty. I'm doing this video at 2 in the morning. I'm sorry. Just like original Gears of War, it really doesn't matter if you're a named character. There's a good chance you can die. Look at Ty. Ty was a named character. He had no helmet. He died. You have other characters. Dom. He died. You have a ton of... Well, I was about to say Franklin, but we technically don't know. We know that he made it up to Gears 2, I believe, but we don't know what happened after. Yeah, you've got Carmine's dying left and right, but they have helmets. But named characters die. Kim dies. Lahni could die. But I don't think she will. Story-wise, it just doesn't make sense if she were to. So that's going to do it for Lahni, the pretty much second incarnation of Tide that we have. She's badass. She does a good job. I think that, I don't know, out of the 3 Hivebusters, second favorite. I think she outranks Keegan for me. Nothing against Keegan, but he doesn't really have that much like pizzazz that makes me want to jump out the pages. Like, here's another Keegan moment. Mac being my favorite out of the 3. He always will be. But that's going to do it. After this, we get the Chapter 5 that'll be coming out next week. We'll get another character. I will put up another poll. I don't know. I don't know who I'm going to put up yet. Tak and Hana are going to be in it, but out of the 2 left, I don't know. I think that's going to do it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you haven't, please subscribe. And thank you guys for making these videos possible. Thank the patrons for making these videos possible. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.